Today I want to remind you of something that, back in the 2000s, was one of the loudest stories on the internet and spawned a ton of memes, but is almost forgotten now. There was a guy named Marvin John Heemeyer. He was born in 1951 in South Dakota, served in the U.S. Air Force as an aircraft mechanic, and later moved to Colorado. He worked as a welder and owned a few muffler repair shops. In the early 90s, he relocated to the tiny town of Granby, population around 1,500 to 2,000, and in 1992 bought 2 acres of land at auction for $42,000. At first he planned to resell it to a friend, but instead he opened his own shop there, Mountain View Muffler. Marvin had a strong personality. Many people remembered him as friendly and helpful, a guy who loved riding snowmobiles in the mountains with friends. He once even helped lead a rescue effort after an avalanche. Others said it was better not to cross him. At one point he reportedly threatened a customer over an unpaid bill. In the late 90s, the Dochev family, owners of Mountain Park Concrete, the cement plant next door, decided to expand and build a larger facility. They offered to buy Marvin's property for $250,000, 6 times what he had paid for it. He initially agreed, but later raised the price to $375,000, and according to some accounts even to $450,000 and eventually $1 million. The deal fell apart. In 2001, the town council approved rezoning that allowed the concrete plant's expansion. Heemeyer believed it blocked reasonable access to his shop and severely hurt his business. He filed lawsuits, gathered petitions against the plant, and complained to the EPA about noise and dust, without success. He asked to connect to the sewer line through the Dochev's property. They refused. He tried to build a new access road to his shop. The town denied the permit. Eventually, in 2001, he was fined $2,500 for having junk cars on his property and not being connected to the sewer system. He had been dumping waste into a ditch. He paid the fine by check and, in the memo line, wrote a single word: cowards. By that time, he had already purchased a used Komatsu D355A bulldozer at auction in California for $16,000. Originally, he intended to use it to build the new road. After repeated setbacks, he decided on something else. For about a year and a half, starting in 2002, Marvin secretly modified the bulldozer inside his garage. He reinforced the cab, engine compartment, and tracks with layers of half-inch steel and concrete sandwiched in between. He installed video cameras with compressed air systems to blow dust off the lenses, along with monitors inside. He added air filtration and air conditioning. He stocked food, water, and ammunition. He mounted 3 rifles, a .50 BMG Barrett in the rear, a Ruger Mini 14.223 on the side, and an FNC 5.56 in the front, plus several handguns, including a .357 Magnum. From the outside, it still looked like an ordinary bulldozer under a tarp. On June 4, 2004, at 2:15 p.m., Marvin used a remote-controlled crane to lower a heavy armored lid over himself, sealing himself inside, and drove out. Over the next 2 hours and 7 minutes, until 4:22 p.m., he methodically destroyed 13 buildings. First was the Mountain Park Concrete Plant, then Town Hall, the office of the Sky High News newspaper, Liberty Savings Bank, the home of a former mayor, Gamble's Hardware, and several other properties he believed were connected to his enemies. He fired from gun ports along the way but didn't hit anyone and likely wasn't trying to. Most shots went into walls or upward. Police fired more than 200 rounds at the machine, through explosives, including an attempt to drop a flashbang into the exhaust, and tried to stop it with heavy equipment. Nothing worked. By then the bulldozer weighed around 61 tons and was essentially impervious to standard firearms. Eventually, the bulldozer got stuck in the debris of Gamble's Hardware after part of the structure collapsed and a track fell into the basement. Marvin shut off the engine. Police didn't approach for more than an hour. It wasn't until around 2 a.m. on June 5, after explosives failed to breach the armor, that they cut into it with a torch. Inside, They found Marvin dead. He had shot himself in the head with a .357 Magnum. Total damages were estimated at roughly $7 million. The Dochef's plant alone suffered about $2 million in damage, but it was underinsured and received only $700,000 from insurance. The town eventually rebuilt. The bulldozer was dismantled and sent to a scrapyard to be melted down, specifically to prevent it from becoming some kind of shrine. Before the attack, Marvin recorded several audio tapes explaining his motives and left a list of targets. One of his lines became infamous: "Sometimes reasonable men must do unreasonable things." To this day, some people see him as a hero who refused to let the system crush him. Others view him as a bitter, unstable man who ultimately turned into a dangerous extremist. Most locals and people who knew him personally described him as an ordinary person pushed to the edge, but one who ultimately chose a path that hurt not just those he blamed, but the entire small town. And what is your opinion about him and his actions? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you found this interesting, leave a like and subscribe.